There you go. Stage is yours.
But when we talk about Kobe Bryant, I never thought I would say it playing against Michael Jordan for so long. But Kobe Bryant, at the end of the day, Dan, because you think I'm a punk, will go down as the greatest basketball player that has ever lived.
Replace me with Kobe with Shaq. I don't win a championship. You don't think I could carry the Lakers to a championship? Like, I've never had the opportunity.
Correct.
Hold up. Did Tracy McGrady just said he could carry the Lakers to a championship? The same Tracy McGrady who went 0-7 in the first round playoff series. This is like saying you could have directed The Godfather if someone just gave you the chance while you are out here making TikTok videos.
Kobe had 3 rings. He was considered a sidekick. He was considered a Robin. He was considered the next Pippen.
Gilbert Arenas calling Kobe Bryant the next Scottie Pippen? Are you kidding me right now? This is coming from a guy whose biggest playoff moment was getting swept by LeBron. That is like a cover band saying the Beatles were overrated. The audacity is actually breathtaking.
Last finals that they won, Kobe didn't play well. Kobe didn't shoot the ball well. Actually, everybody thought Pau Gasol should have been MVP.
Excuse me. Dwayne Wade just said Kobe played awful in 2010 NBA Finals, the same finals where Kobe grabbed 15 rebounds in Game 7 and scored 10 fourth-quarter points to beat the Celtics. This is like saying Tom Brady played terrible in the Super Bowl while holding the Lombardi Trophy. Let's be honest, none of these guys would have opened their mouths if Kobe was still around. It feels like they are all banded together for a weekly podcast group therapy session where the topic is Kobe Bryant and how he somehow ruined the basketball because he won too many damn rings. If Kobe was still alive, none of this would be flying. You think Wade could call him trash in a finals game 7 to his face? You think LeBron would go on a podcast and talk about how rings are overrated? While knowing Kobe took every single one of his 5 titles personally, McGrady would have kept that. I would have wanted Shaq too. Nonsense to himself out of respect. Now that he is gone, everybody's brave. Everyone's got a take. But in their hearts, they know none of them would have dared say a word if Kobe Bryant was still here. Not one. Former players who once gave Kobe respect are rewriting history when he cannot defend himself. But here's what they do not want you to remember. Kobe Bryant was literally named NBA Player of the Decade for 2000-2010, not by some random blogger, by the Sporting News, by TNT, by mainstream sports media when it actually mattered. This isn't just basketball debate. This is cowardly revisionism, and it is time to someone defended the truth. Let's start with the facts they are trying to erase. September 2009, Sporting News names Kobe NBA Player of the Decade. Not LeBron, not Duncan, not Shaq, Kobe. This wasn't some participation trophy. This was recognition of a player who dominated an entire decade at both ends of the floor while winning at the highest level. But here's what really exposes the current revisionist movement. During the 2000s, even the biggest rivals acknowledged Kobe's supremacy. Wait, let me get this straight. LeBron James himself called Kobe the best player in the league. And now LeBron's on his Mind the Game podcast talking about how the ring culture is the problem with the basketball debates. LeBron's recent comments about championship counting being the end-all be-all of everything are rich coming from someone who once acknowledged Kobe's superiority during that championship era. This isn't about protecting ringless legends like Charles Barkley. This is about diminishing Kobe's 5 championships to elevate LeBron's case in GOAT debates. The contemporary media coverage tells the whole story. Sports Illustrated featured Kobe on 21 covers during the 2000s. ESPN ranked him as the second greatest shooting guard of all time after Jordan. When he scored 81 points in 2006, the entire basketball world treated it as the historic moment it was. Phil Jackson coached Michael Jordan, and he is talking about Kobe's performance like he's never seen anything like it. This is the same Phil Jackson who won 6 rings with MJ, but statistics only reveal too much. The real difference between good and great between great and legendary happens when nobody's watching. Jerry West, the logo himself. This isn't some random coach trying to pump up his guy. This is basketball royalty telling us that Kobe was different. 4:30 a.m. That is not even morning. That is still nighttime for normal human beings. July 2012, Team USA Olympics. The trainer arrives at 4:15 a.m. to prepare for the team's morning session. Come on, the trainer shows up before dawn, thinking he is early, and Kobe is already drenched in sweat like he's been there since midnight. This is like showing up to a party, thinking you're fashionably late and finding out someone has already been there for 3 hours. Except the party is Olympic basketball and someone is a maniac who refuses to lose. Meanwhile, Tracy McGrady was making very different choices about his approach to the game. Excuse me, did he just say God-given talent hinders your practice habits? That is like saying being smart makes you not want to study. This is the exact opposite of the championship thinking. This is participation trophy mentality. T-Mac once said, "I'm just not a great practice player." And he continues, "I could cruise through practice and still be effective." Wait. He is literally saying, "I was so good that I didn't need to try hard." This is insane. This is like Tom Brady saying, "I was so naturally gifted at reading defenses that I didn't need to watch film." It is the complete opposite of how legends think. Jeff Van Gundy once delivered the most devastating quote in basketball history: 1,000 hours instead of 10,000. That is not even close. That is like studying for the SATs for one weekend instead of a whole year and wondering why you didn't get into Harvard. And here's the most revealing story about this divide. Paris, France, Adidas camp. McGrady decides to get some extra work in. He is walking to the gym and he runs into Kobe in the hallway. This is like Michael Corleone giving career advice. Kobe is playing chess while McGrady is playing checkers. He is literally sabotaging the competition while being friendly about it. McGrady takes Kobe's advice, goes back to his room, but something doesn't sit right. An hour later, McGrady heads back to the gym, and there's Kobe. This is the most Kobe thing ever. He convinces the McGrady to take the night off, then immediately went to work himself. This is like telling your friend not to study for the final exam, then pulling an all-nighter in the library. Psychological warfare at its finest. While McGrady was watching TV, Kobe was playing mind games and getting better. This is why champions stay champions. But the most disgusting example of posthumous revisionism comes from Dwayne Wade. On a recent podcast, Wade decided to rewrite the 2010 finals completely. This is the most disrespectful thing I have ever heard. Wade is literally saying Kobe played awful while winning finals MVP. This is exactly the type of historical rewriting that would have happened if Kobe was alive. Let me remind Wade and everyone else what actually happened in the 2010 finals. Wade conveniently forgets that Kobe shot 6 of 24 in Game 7 but still found a way to dominate. When his shots weren't falling, he grabbed 15 rebounds. 15. That is tied for the most rebounds by a guard in Finals Game 7 history.
You have to respect a guy like Kobe Bryant because those are one of those guys that you face on that court, it's time to compete.
Really be on your P's and Q's when you're going up against him, because if you slip, you're going to fall.
Kendrick Perkins, at least someone with integrity, is willing to call out this nonsense. But Wade's comments reveal the bigger problem. When Kobe was alive, Wade gave him nothing but respect. Now that Kobe cannot respond, Wade feels comfortable rewriting history to make himself look better. This is coward behavior at its worst.
81 points, 62 at the end of third
That's
quarter.
a great
outscoring
curiosity.
Dallas Mavericks.
That's a great curiosity.
Dan Patrick, look me in my eye. Kobe Bryant will go down as the greatest basketball player that has ever lived.
Gilbert Arenas represents the worst revisionist movement. During Kobe's career, Arenas had nothing but respect for his game. Gilbert Arenas said this, the same Gilbert Arenas who just called Kobe the next Scottie Pippen. He literally said Kobe was on another planet and had the it factor that McGrady didn't have. This is like saying someone is a genius and then claiming you never went to school with them. But now on his podcast platform, Arenas is building a brand around diminishing Kobe's achievements. He has gone from providing historical context to launching character assassination. Fortunately, someone with actual integrity has called out this entire pattern. Matt Barnes said, "This Kobe slander got to stop." There it is, Matt Barnes just exposed the entire movement. Barnes played with Kobe. He was in the trenches. He knows how these same critics treated Kobe during his career. Barnes' statement confirms what is obvious to anyone paying attention. These critics are emboldened by Kobe's death to make statements they never would have made while he was alive. The fact that a teammate feels compelled to defend Kobe's memory speaks to how inappropriate this posthumous criticism has become. But here's what really exposes the motive behind all this revisionism. The escalation of anti-Kobe rhetoric coincides perfectly with the intensified LeBron versus Kobe GOAT debates. LeBron's Mind the Game podcast comments about ring culture aren't really about protecting ringless legends. They're about diminishing the value of Kobe's 5 championships in GOAT discussions. Think about the timing. LeBron wins his 4th championship in 2020, Kobe passes away, and then suddenly in 2025, we have this coordinated attack on championship culture that conveniently diminishes Kobe's main advantage over LeBron. Brandon Haywood now excludes Kobe from GOAT conversations entirely. This represents a fundamental shift from how these same analysts discussed Kobe during his playing career. The pattern is obvious. Diminishing Kobe's legacy serves to elevate LeBron's case in GOAT discussions. By reframing Kobe's championships as products of Shaq or Pau Gasol, critics can argue that LeBron's 4 championships represent superior individual achievement. This is intellectually dishonest analysis that requires ignoring Kobe's Finals MVP performances and overall impact. Critics can manipulate narratives, but they cannot erase statistical reality. Kobe's 2000 statistics are overwhelming. No player in NBA history has matched this combination of scoring dominance, defensive excellence, championship success, and sustained peak performance across an entire decade. Tim Duncan won 4 championships in the 2000s, but never matched Kobe's offensive impact. Shaquille O'Neal had a higher peak, but couldn't sustain excellence across the full decade. LeBron's 2000s, he got swept by Spurs in 2007 finals. But here's the most damning evidence against the revisionists. Contemporary coverage from every major sports outlet treated Kobe as the era's defining superstar. This wasn't manufactured hype. This was universal recognition based on sustained excellence and championship performance. This isn't about just defending Kobe Bryant. This is about defending the truth, about protecting basketball history from cowardly attacks. There's a generation of basketball fans who never witnessed prime Kobe. They rely on social media narratives, on hot takes designed for clicks, on debates that prioritize controversy over accuracy. This is what separates legends from everyone else. While McGrady was admitting he didn't practice hard, Kobe was trying to inspire greatness. While others make excuses, champions create legacies. That is not just basketball wisdom, that is life wisdom. Obsessed to find ways to win. Not hope to win, not try to win, obsess. That is the difference between 5 championships and 0 championships. That is the difference between being the player of the decade and being a what-if story. The numbers don't lie. The history doesn't lie. The player of the decade recognition doesn't lie. Derek Fisher played with Kobe for 13 years. That is longer than most marriages. He was in the trenches with Kobe through 5 championships, through the Shaq drama, through the rebuilding years, through everything. When your ride or die teammate of 13 years says he's never seen anyone work harder, that is not a sound bite, that is a testimony. So to T-Mac, to Gilbert Arenas, to Dwayne Wade, to every podcaster and analysts trying to rewrite history for clicks and views, you wouldn't dare say this if Kobe was alive. Because deep down, you know the truth. You know that if Kobe walked into that first take studio, Gilbert Arenas would be asking for autographs, not making Scottie Pippen comparisons. You know that if Kobe were on that podcast with Wade, he'd break down exactly how he controlled Game 7 of the 2010 finals beyond shooting percentage. You know that if Kobe could respond to McGrady's claims, he'd remind him about every head-to-head matchup they ever had. That is the core truth that exposes this entire revisionist movement. These critics lack the courage to make these statements when Kobe could respond with his legendary competitiveness, basketball intellect, and comprehensive knowledge of his own career.